Well, hey pals, Peeps here. Thanks for dropping in today. I'm going to do what is one of perhaps a handful of World Cup episodes that I'd like to roll out here during the tournament. I'm a little late to getting to the first one here, but what I was going to do, or what I was thinking about doing, is starting out with some vintage soccer, just a few cards that sort of surround the World Cup, and maybe open something or reveal some newer product in some of these episodes as well, but I digress. Why don't we get right to it? Hey, the U.S. has already won the group. They've got a game in hand still with victories over Paraguay and Australia. They still have to play Turkey, but that game matters little as they have secured top of the group. I imagine we're going to see a lot of reserves in that game. And anyway, this is going to be a weekend packed full of excellent games. I'm very excited about it. And hey, let's start with what's on the board. I'm going to try to limit the editing on this. Who knows? Maybe I can get through it.
Did you see the memo about this?
So much for that. We have on the board a card I've shown before, but I thought it would be nice to have in the background. We've got Pele on the 1966 Epoca. Epoca was a sort of a pop culture magazine, Italian, and in 1966 they would put these stickers here. I'll show you the back here where it says Pele Brazil. They would have these cutouts. They're really not stickers. I mean, you were meant to use paste to stick them into an album also published by Epoca, a separate album. So you would sort of glean these out of the various issues of Epoca and then glue them into the album, which you also acquired at some point, and collect them all. Here's the Pele, one of my favorite images on card of Pele. It's just fabulous. Now, I have a feeling SGC didn't really understand what this was, so they just gave it an authentic. It should say hand cut right here. I've seen one or two other graded copies that are appropriately labeled. I don't know, I may, at some point I've always wanted to send this back in and have them correct the label here. You know, with a hand cut thing like this, you know, either they're all just authentic or you give it a grade. I mean, I don't quite understand, but I don't think they understood either, but I digress. Here we go. We got a beautiful image. It matters little to me as it is a hand cut thing. I know what it is, at least, and I love it. It's just a fabulous image of Pele from 1966. The only World Cup that Pele participated in and did not win. He won it in 58, 62, and 70, but not in 66. All right, next up we're going to show one vintage as well that I have never shown, also from 1966. It is the 1966 Crack Campione, Bobby Charlton. Now, of course, England did win the World Cup in 1966, and Bobby Charlton is an English footballing legend who scored the winning goal in the final and was the superstar on the team alongside Bobby Moore. A fabulous piece here. I was able to acquire this for not very much, honestly. I've seen a couple other copies out there with better grades. Again, I'm not sure how they're grading these sorts of things. These were stuck in albums, so they would come in packs, and there was a corresponding album, just like a regular soccer sticker, except these were disc-shaped, and I love the design on this. Just a beautiful design, kind of a floating head with this pattern down here, the country here, the name, everything's there, even the card numbers, very small, but it's on the front there. Nothing on the back, as these were glued into albums, and a little bit of paper loss, so it's probably an automatic 1. That's fine by me because it was very, very reasonable, and it's a World Cup champion and legend Bobby Charlton. So I thought that'd be a cool one to bring out. So we've got the 1966 World Cup represented there on the left. We're going to jump to 1974, where I've got a 1974 Bergman Verlag Fußball sticker of the legend Gerd Müller. Now this is something I've been meaning to send in for grading. It's a beautiful copy, very, very well centered for this particular sticker. I would just like it, I don't know, I guess I have it in this thinking maybe I'll create a label that I can't seem to decide about. Maybe I'll get it slabbed. I don't really know at this point. Grading has become sort of difficult to deal with now. So anyhow, maybe I ought to just forget about it and be happy about it. So here it is, the 1974. It's a German release. And of course, at the time, this was West Germany, who Gerd Müller played for. And in 1974, West Germany took home the World Cup title. Gerd Müller was the superstar on that team as well. German football legend, perhaps the best German footballer ever. I mean, you also have Thomas Müller, who I will get to in another video. Maybe a video with more modern cards, or ultra modern even. But I love this image, love that hair, and love what it represents in a World Cup title for 1974. As you might imagine, I am working on getting 1962 represented. Next up, we have one of a player who was in the World Cup final in 1974, but alas, lost to the gentleman here, Gerd Müller. But however, I've never shown this before, and it's really one of my favorite vintage soccer cards that I own. It is the peak of the man's career. A lot of you might know who this is. It is Johan Cruyff. And this is a Spanish issue. It's Ancio. These were in packets or packs. And what these were, I mean, they came like this, and you kind of, I'll see if I can find an image and put it here somewhere. But the image on the package, or the pack, I should say, shows kids playing with these with a little ball, and you'd kind of kick the ball around by like holding the figure and playing a game with it, playing football. So anyway, Johan Cruyff, this is the peak of his career. He's got back-to-back Ballon d'Ors and European Cup titles and everything. He's the best player in the world at this point. And he changed the game forever with the concept of total football. It wasn't him alone, but he was a massive influence on the world game, and an incredible player. Johan Cruyff. I was super proud to find this one. You don't see many of these pop up, no pun intended, and I'm just stoked to add this. And I wanted to show it because, again, Cruyff's lone appearance in the World Cup final was 1974. This is the peak of his career. Was the best player in the world at that point. However, did lose to the man Gerd Müller here. And that's what I got for vintage. And now what I thought I'd show is the results. That's right, I opened it. The results of this packet, which you've seen around. They come in these little, I guess you'd call this a hanger box. There's 5 packs in here, 7 stickers in each pack. Guess I'll leave that here. And I was just gonna show some of the quick highlights. And let's start with the sort of vintage callback to the 1950 World Cup champions, Uruguay. Now, in the first part of the 20th century, Uruguay was a powerhouse, you know. They were in multiple World Cup finals. I believe they won multiple World Cups. I think they even won back-to-back at some point in the first 50 years of the 20th century. Anyhow, I thought that was cool, given that sort of the theme of this video is World Cup titles. So there's Uruguay there. Put that on the board. That's one of the highlights. All right, next we've got Enzo Fernandez of Argentina, World Cup champion in 2022, alongside Messi, of course. Excellent player, currently playing for Chelsea, although we'll see what the summer transfer window brings us, because I'm not sure Enzo is going to be in Chelsea in the fall. We'll see. Anyhow, World Cup champion. So that was a nice one. All right, next we've got Bruno Guimarães for Brazil. Brazil is a powerhouse in this tournament, no doubt about it, although they did just have an unfortunate injury to Rafinha, who is one of their top strikers for sure. Anyway, Bruno here is a fabulous player, plays for Newcastle United in the Premier League, and starts in the midfield for Brazil. Brazil is stacked, no doubt about that. And last but not least, how about Canada's own Jonathan David, who scored a hat trick in the first game for Canada, and I believe is tied with Messi for the goal lead in the tournament thus far, with 3 goals, of course. Anyway, Jonathan David, Canadian footballing legend, and thought that was a cool one. Of course, this is a blue parallel as well. Here, I should show you the box a little bit closer maybe. Down here there is some info. You've got blue, red, purple, green, and black. I do know the blacks are 1 of 1. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, here's the blue. I'll round it out. And there it is, World Cup episode number 1, 2026. First take. Thanks for coming by, everybody. We'll see you next time. Peace.